With Kenny Omega set to vacate his AAA title and Andrade unfollowing Charlotte Flair on social media, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for November 22nd. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Along with Hit Row, Top Dolla was called up to the main roster from NXT and looked poised for success. Still, the faction would ultimately be let go by the company. Apparently, Vince McMahon thought of Top Dolla as a star, as it was noted on Wrestling Observer Radio. I know it sounds really weird to release all of Hit Row when Top Dolla was the only one with heat on him, but here's the thing. He's the one that Vince saw as a star. The other guys just came along with a package. Ashante the Adonis was just a guy that they put in the group. It's not like he's a great wrestler. He's just a guy, but he got put in the group. And that's what could have made a career for him, because that's what Xavier Woods was. I mean, not to say Xavier Woods isn't very good now, he is very good. When Woods came along, he was just a guy in the group, became a big star, and he became a big star in the group. That was the best possible thing for Ashante, except for unlike the New Day where they are around for years and years and years, these guys got fired right away. But they thought AJ Francis was the star because he's the big guy and the personality. It was previously reported by Fightful that mixed online reactions may have caused Top Dolla to have heat backstage, as they wrote. We haven't heard anything specifically about Hit Row as a unit outside of that AJ Francis's polarizing reaction on Twitter did carry over to some within the company. A couple of internal WWE sources compared it to Greg Hamilton getting a little too comfortable. We were told this was not the specific factor leading to his release and that of the group, but was an internal observation. There were others that enjoyed his approach within the company. Sticking with Hit Row, Dave Meltzer would also note that the group got mixed signals from WWE prior to their release, as he noted. So Thursday, which is the day they got cut, so Thursday they're first told that they've got to be on SmackDown, Survivor Series, and Raw, and then they're told they're off all 3 shows. Then they're called again and told they're back on all 3 shows. Then the next call they get is they're fired. This is all on Thursday. Despite having a long road to the top, Big E finds himself as the WWE Champion. On MacMania, Big E touched on his mental health, revealing that seeking out help saved his life. It took me a long time. I try my best to never tell anyone. This is the way you need to go to overcome mental illness. We all have our own paths and what works for us. What worked for me at 19 years old, I had a coach of mine, Rod Atkin, who essentially forced me to go talk to someone in many ways. It really saved my life. Even then, it took a while for me to get into the process. I think so much of how I was raised and just kind of the culture of what it meant to be a man. I always played football and was in the gym. What I was always told from peers and in the home, it was a man does not show vulnerability. You don't cry, you don't show weakness. You don't talk about the way you feel or your emotions. Maybe that's a protective device that allows you to get to a certain point in life without getting picked on too much, and you build up these walls, but eventually it's going to explode. It got to that point with me where it was repress, but it's not going anywhere. What has really helped me is just kind of leaning into the work. I was really opposed to this idea of working people tell me in a relationship you have to work or you have to work on yourself. Who wants to do all that? To me, the work is really beautiful. Last night at the pay-per-view, Big E came up short in his hard-fought battle against Roman Reigns, as we'll have to see what is next for the WWE Champion. Following the release of John Morrison from WWE, Eric Bischoff took to his 83 Weeks podcast to express his shock. I don't know, man. John, from the get-go, when he first made his debut in WWE, I remember John just doing a great job. He learned really quickly in terms of his mic work and his skills and his performance backstage. He's got a great look. He was healthy. He wasn't injury-prone. Open-minded guy, easy to work with, had a great sense of wanting to create a great character. He understood the difference between the real John Morrison and the character. As far as his in-ring presentation, I haven't watched a lot of stuff recently, but man, the guy is fluid. He can do so much. So that one really surprised me first thing this morning when I saw that. And he's an easy guy to work with. He's not a pain in the butt. He's a company guy. While Morrison was able to become a main event star outside the company in WWE, he never truly established himself as such. There were rumors heading into Survivor Series that The Rock could be making an appearance. Of course, he would not end up at the event, as Dave Meltzer gave a reason why. Dwayne's out of the country and he can't come back. They're doing a movie and he can't go back and forth because of quarantine. There was no way he could be at the show tonight. In regards to Rock not showing up at the pay-per-view, apparently staff would express concern, as Fightful reported. When some members of the team found out Rock was not going to be present, were told they voiced their concern about the Reigns match closing the pay-per-view, but there wasn't a major push to change it. There were various run sheets that had the accurate rundown, but there were also numerous that were printed in reverse, which caused confusion backstage, and several thought there was a decision to switch the women to the main event because The Rock wouldn't be present. On his Hall of Fame podcast, Booker T noted that when it comes to AEW, they do a great job balancing established names with up-and-coming stars, saying MJF and Darby Allin are prime examples of this. It's a balancing act, and you got a guy like MJF who's definitely pulling his weight as a young guy. Like you said, under 25. There's not very many young stars under 25 that's going to be in that position. Guys like Darby Allin, who definitely has been a bright light in that company, being one of the guys that you wouldn't think ever would be working in that position just because he's not the prototypical guy. Sometimes talent, man, trumps everything. Really hard work, it trumps even more. So when you watch guys like that go out there and do their thing, yeah, they definitely are doing a hell of a job. Give them props. Speaking of MJF, it was previously noted that his AEW contract will be up in 2024, as Tony Khan has stated he is fine with a bidding war over him. While Goldberg is in his 50s and a WWE Hall of Famer, he is still under contract and has one more match left for the company. On After the Bell, Sami Zayn talked about the differences between the modern and Attitude eras, with him mentioning that Goldberg would have been left in the dust if he debuted for WWE now. Goldberg debuts today in NXT. Is he going to be the same Bill Goldberg? My guess is probably not. Goldberg had to fill a very specific vacuum that only existed at that exact time for him to be in the spot that he's in. I hope I'm not taking a shot at Bill here by saying I'm pretty sure he'd be the first to acknowledge that this guy isn't exactly known for his 5-star matches or anything. He'd steamroll through guys. If he came around at a slightly different time when work rate was far more important, he might have been left in the dust, or people might not have taken a second look at him. It's so circumstantial. Given Big E wants to take a crack at Goldberg, his final match could end up being for the WWE title. At last night's pay-per-view, Vince McMahon was seen on screen with a $100 million golden egg, which was to promote The Rock's Netflix movie Red Notice. Meltzer would note the reason behind this. Tomorrow, it's Indiana Jones. Let's find out. You know, it's like sometimes these things flop and sometimes these things work. It's a gimmick to get a rating and do product placement for Rock's movie also. It's to get a rating. It's to get Vince. We'll see what Vince means on television. He hadn't been on TV a lot lately. He hadn't been on TV in a long time. Now he's back, and you know, and they made a big deal. It wasn't like, oh, Vince is there. Following his loss of the AEW World title to Hangman Page, Kenny Omega is said to be taking time off to heal and have surgeries. This means that he will be vacating his AAA Mega Belt, as Meltzer said. Yeah, it may happen tomorrow. It's supposed to happen any day now. They will announce a new main event. I don't know all of the details now, but the rumor is that they will announce a multi-person match, but I don't know who will be in the match. But it should be out in the next couple of days. So yeah, that's December 4th in Monterey in the stadium. WWE 2K20 is one of, if not the worst, wrestling game ever. The game was littered with bugs on launch, as it was even found out that most of the texture files were simply taken from WWE 2K18. Now 2K is looking to release their newest WWE game, as Drew McIntyre touched on this with Fightful. It's been awesome and ongoing for a while. I've been filming some different stuff for it, filming some liners, doing the scans. There has really been a lot of effort into this game. I think the last one, how things turned out, they weren't great. They own that and know that and are making sure this one is absolutely perfect. I can't wait to play because I know how hard they've been working on it, and it's going to be awesome when it comes out. While many inside and out of WWE are not too happy with Charlotte Flair, her talent cannot be denied. Speaking about her feud with Becky Lynch, Kurt Angle noted on his podcast that Flair could be the best wrestler in the world. I'm a huge fan of both of them, but I absolutely believe that Charlotte could be the best female wrestler in the world, if not the best wrestler in the world, period. Yes, that is including the men. I'm admitting that right now. Could be the best wrestler, period, in the world. Speaking of Charlotte, her fiance, AEW star Andrade, recently unfollowed her on Twitter and Instagram. They started dating in 2019 and became engaged last year. While there is no additional news in regards to their relationship, we hope everything works out for both of them. In 2009, Jeff Hardy was embroiled in a heated on-screen rivalry with CM Punk in WWE. This feud saw real-life issues come to the surface as Hardy reflected on this angle with Inside the Ropes. Even with CM Punk, we had the controversial kind of storyline between us, with him being the straight edge and me being the guy with drug issues. It just made it very real in the long run. When I had to retire because CM Punk beat me in that cage match, I said this one thing: this is not goodbye forever, it's only goodbye for now. 9 years later, man, I finally stayed true to what I said. Previously, Hardy noted that he would be staying in WWE for at least another year, as we'll have to see what is next for him. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.